Happy Friday, everybody. Thank you so much for downloading or streaming the Be Our Guest podcast. Yes, we've made it to the weekend, and we're going to have some fun on today's show. Pam and Ricky are back joining me, and we look back to really the time where our show started about 16 years ago. And if we went back in time, what things from today at Walt Disney World would shock us the most? If we could take an iPad and go into the parks and say, look, here's the state of Walt Disney World right now, and show a guest or even, ourselves back in, 2008, 2007, 2009 and say, look, here's what we have right now, both positive and negative at Walt Disney World. What things would be the most shocking to us or to regular guests at Walt Disney World? So we kind of have that discussion and hear our thoughts, and then give your thoughts over in the clubhouse, beourguestpodcast.com/clubhouse, or give us a call on Sunday night on the BOGP open line. We really want to have this conversation with you. Just think about how much Walt Disney World has changed in such a short amount of time. Don't forget, our show today is brought to you by the Magic for Less Travel. We'd love to help you plan your next Disney adventure, whether it's to Walt Disney World, Disneyland, Disney Cruise Line, or Adventures by Disney for no additional cost to you. Check out all the details today over at themagicforless.com. Please also use our Amazon affiliate link. It's beourguestpodcast.com/Amazon. If you click through that, that really does help support the show throughout the year. And thank you so very much to our Patreon supporters. You guys make our show possible. So a huge thank you to each and every one of you. If you'd like to support us, it's just $5 a month. And for that support, you get a bonus show every week. It's called Mike in the Midwest. Come on over this weekend. We'd love to have you. Patreon.com/BeOurGuestPodcast.
Ready to take a trip to the world? You found the Be Our Guest Walt Disney World Trip Planning Podcast. This is where your memories come front and center on our podcast stage.
Welcome to episode 2567 of the Be Our Guest Walt Disney World Trip Planning Podcast. I'm your host, Mike Rallman from BeOurGuestPodcast.com and one of the senior agents over at the Magic for Less Travel. Happy Friday to you. Hope you're getting ready for a great weekend. First weekend here in October. Man, some of the best times of the year. I love October. Get some great weather, good time to get out there, maybe have that backyard, little, not a barbecue, but the fire pit going, make some s'mores, just kind of hang out. A lot of, churches have their trunk or treats coming up to Halloween. You get to do that before the real trick or treating happens. I mean, because, Ricky told us on Friday she's going to be out of candy. So I was going to give pro tip for Brian and Ricky and all them. Go to all the churches. They have the trunk or treats. Restock, get the costume, get your baby Lucy, throw some ears on her, bam, go around. You'll be restocked in no time at all around the greater Atlanta area. But we're going to be talking Disney. There's your pro tip for everybody out there. If you don't have candy, trunk or treats. They're your fire stations, they're your elementary schools, or your churches. Get out there, have some fun. All right, but take us with you wherever you go. We're going to be talking Disney for the next 30 to 40 minutes and having a good time. We appreciate you being here with us. Ricky's joining us from down in Atlanta. She's at themouseforless.com and at DisneyWorldAfterAll.com. Happy Friday, Ricky. What's up?
Happy Friday. And yeah, speaking of, it being October now, I was really just thinking about it. Brian and I really need to go apple picking. So we take the car and head on up to LJ and we go to this great little apple picking place over there. And, we've gone really basically ever since we've had Lucy. So I went pregnant and then we went with her last year. And so we really need to start, we need to take her again this year. So I think we took her about, we go like this weekend every year. So maybe that's what Brian and I need to do this weekend is to go apple picking with Lucy.
What's your favorite kind of apple? A McIntosh, a Granny Smith? I don't even know. I don't eat apples. I was always going to say when I retired teaching, I was going to write a book called The Teacher Who Doesn't Like Apples.
I just literally go and pick an apple and go, this one works. Like I literally just pick it off the tree and I'm like, okay, cool. Let's go.
Cool. So you don't even know what they're called. Just red apples. I'm just
grabbing apples off a tree and hoping they don't kill me.
My favorite kind of apple is like an iPhone or,
yes.
Let's
put it this way. I like the red apples versus the green apples better. So.
Okay. Well, let me ask Pam. Pam Forrester. She's the co-owner of the Magic for. I do like red apples better. I will eat a red apple from time to time, just in the season, just to be a like citizen of the world. But Pam Forrester, Kona, the Magic for Less Travel, she's joining us. Pam Forrester, green apples or red apples? What are better?
Green apples for
Green
sure.
apples.
Oh no. Why?
They're a little
'Cause
sour. They're a little sour,
They're
kind
sour.
of like
They're
me
sour.
on most days. Yeah,
But they're
exactly.
really crisp. And
They are
that's
crisp,
what I
yeah,
think.
that's true.
Yeah, that's what I like about a good apple. But yes, green for sure. Like that. And our view.
I know. I'm just switching it up here. I just thought we'd be a little closer.
Yeah.
What's up?
What did you do?
I know.
Crazy.
Oh my goodness.
I can
Way
switch it
too
back.
close.
It's
Way
very
too close.
Oh wait!
Oh, now it's
you're all
just
gone.
mine.
Now you're all gone.
Mike's
No.
like, I want it to be
There we
mine.
are.
Exactly. It's
There we
my
go.
show.
We're back.
That's it. The end.
Just I get bored sometimes. I hit buttons. I don't know what's gonna happen.
Yes. And we have lots of we have a cider press that's not too far away from us where they actually will press the apples there into cider for you and all that. So they're Apple Fest. But I will say in our house, this is hysterical. So I do not like you know how there's all these candles and in the fall, there's all these apple scented candles. Apple, I'm putting this in quotes because it's not really what an apple smells.
No, not even
It's
close.
just this faux apple scent. And I don't like it at all. And so we always call it apple crapple.
Oh my gosh.
An apple crapple.
Correct.
Right? It's the worst. It's so bad. So no offense to those of you out there that like it. I just don't want to smell it in my home. And now that Hannah's a teacher, guess what she gets a lot of? Apple crapple scented
No!
candles.
I got that. I got that stuff too. And my wife buys into all this. By the way, she's still, I think, at professional development. And hopefully, she's not watching on stream. She doesn't watch our show. But here's the thing: she gets all the stuff. So this time of year, everything has now churned over to endless summer soaps, in our bathrooms, to all the fall stuff, right? Because she goes to the Bath and Body place, and she gets, so everything is now crisp autumn apples or whatever. I'm like, what is a crisp autumn apple really mean anyway? I mean, my hands smell good, I guess, but the plugins, all of a sudden I'm sneezing in the living room because they're so pungent. I'm like, Pam, my eyes are watering. My nose. She's like, why? Do you have allergies? I'm like, no, you just plugged in that plug-in thing and now I can't breathe because it's so strong. It's like 20 times an apple orchard in here all of a sudden. I'm wheezing. I have asthma.
You got to be testing the particles in your house. Yes. Feel free to use my term, the apple crapple.
That's what I'm going to use tonight. I'm like, I can't breathe. I need a respirator because you're killing us with the fall. She loves that.
None
stuff.
of it smells like the fall either.
Well, because back in the day, I mean, when I first met her, and this was eons ago, she used to sell those party light candles and have those party light parties. I just loved it because she made all the cool snacks, and I got all the leftovers. That was the jam. She made these little pinwheels that were like tortillas. Oh, they were to die for. But anyway, that's not why you're here. Real quick though, kind of tangentially, at Walt Disney World, Len says he loves candy apples. I agree with that. Shout out candy apples. What's your favorite candy apple variety from the confectionery? Because they have all kinds that they dial up, you know, because it can't just be a candy apple anymore. My God, it's like Pam always says, it can't be just a cheeseburger anymore. It's got to be 3 patties, 7 buns, and 78 pieces of bacon.
And by the way, they use the green apples for the candy apples. And so I go old school here, and I like the caramel with the peanuts and the apple. I don't want chocolate. I don't need a marshmallow. I don't need a candy bar all over it. I really just like the caramel with the peanuts. That's my favorite by far.
See,
I'm just
and that's why we're friends,
Mike.
That's why we're friends. I'm retro, dude. I just give me the caramel apple with just the peanut chunks on the outside. It doesn't, because nowadays they have Reese's Pieces and M&Ms. I mean,
roll them in 8 different kinds.
God, I mean, because the thing is, I'd have to put a hazmat suit on for one thing to eat that sucker. You know what I'm saying? I mean, you want me to eat that, then go do Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween Party? That's my costume. It's the guy that tried to eat a caramel apple, and now he's got it all over his front. That's my costume at that point. Ricky, what about you? What's your favorite candy apple?
I'm gonna say something terrible. I don't like candy apples. I don't like. I mean, it's weird because I like caramel. I like the candy that's on them. I like apples, but I don't want all of them together. If I'm getting anything from the confectionery, which I have downstairs, my stash from this last trip, it is the Rice Krispie treat with right now the M&M one is, I think, my favorite. But I did get one from Goofy's, which is a little bit different, and it has peanut butter chips on top. That one's favorite. That one is clutch right there. But if I'm going to the confectionery, it's the one with M&Ms. But yeah, I'm not getting a candy apple. I'm getting the Rice Krispie treat.
Yeah, now I want to go to like a pumpkin patch and get me a candy, just a classic candy apple. So, well, good news is they sell like ones like Pam and I like, just like at a gas station.
They do, yeah.
They're just like in a plastic, like hard container. I mean, they're not as good because if you go to like a pumpkin patch around here, they like home make them, on the weekends.
And that's yeah. And at home, actually, sometimes I'll cut up an apple like in slices and just like do some caramel and peanuts on it. So that's easy peasy to do. So Mike, there's your little. That can be your treat tonight. So
I'm gonna have to go up to Dearborg's. Might even have them. Our grocery store sometimes they make them like back in the bakery.
They
section.
do. My treat tonight is gonna be my Rice Krispie treat from the confectionery. It's sitting on my counter right now. That's
ladies and gentlemen. Yes, Instagram might have a candy apple on it. You never know. Okay.
No, not a candy apple. Rice Krispie treats.
Oh, Rice Krispie treat for you, candy apple for me. All right, let's get into today's topic. We kind of talked about this last Sunday. We had a bunch of topics. We talked cruise a lot, but this was going to be our topic on Sunday night. But I wanted to ask you guys about this, because I was really thinking about this the other day when I was on doing one of my walks in the morning before the sun came up. And I was thinking about like time travel, going back in time, and, positive and negative. A lot of times with social media, everything is negative, but there's so much positive too, that if you went back and talked to, we could talk to ourselves even. If we went to a guest and pick any theme park, Epcot, Studios, Animal Kingdom, Magic Kingdom, and you had some kind of device like an iPad, and you showed them what the parks look like, even the resorts too, the resorts itself. And you said, here is the state of Walt Disney World today, early October 2024. You go back to when our podcast started back in 2008, 2009-ish, and say, this is how the parks are. This is the state of ticketing. This is the state of what the resorts look like. This is the state of things that we have now. What would shock you or guest, the everyday guest, the most, both positively and negatively? Let's have that conversation here for the next 20, 25 minutes. So I'll start with Pam. Pam, what's one thing you think either way? Let's kind of try to throw a positive and a negative in before we get out of here today. But what do you think? Like, what the most things that are kind of like the most like eye-popping things over the past 15 years?
So for me, I think that one of the things that is really big in this space is just how much, in terms of the dining scene, has changed at Walt Disney World. I think there's so many different things. First of all, there's more signature dining probably than there was at that point in time. And that's really according to guest demand, right? Guests were looking for more of a signature dining option. They realize that when they go on vacation, even if they're going to Walt Disney World, they still sometimes like to have a really good meal, right? And that there's more mocktails, there's more non-alcoholic like smoothies and things like that, things that will appeal to all different kinds of guests. But in addition, I will say, as someone who really enjoys beer, there was a point in time where you could get like 2 or 3 different beers and they were the same all across Disney property. Bud Light, and like maybe they would have Heineken or something else. That's it.
St. Louis, St. Louis stuff. There you go.
That's right.
That's all we have in St. Louis.
But the beer scene, I mean, Disney was one of the places that I felt drug their feet on this a little more. Maybe they were waiting to see if this was really going to be the case or not. But now they've embraced it, and you can find lots of different beers at different locations. You could go to CityWorks where you could get 100 different beers on tap. I mean, it's just, there are all these things that sort of the market has demanded. And I think the other thing that guests might be, surprised to see is stuff like the dining plan. Because again, guests really wanted the option to be able to have sort of an all-inclusive vacation. They wanted to pay a price that included all these things, and they didn't have to sort of pay as they went with a lot of those things. So that has happened. But there's just sort of the whole face of dining has changed in this space. And Len, that's in our chat also mentions mobile ordering. I mean, that was something that was really innovative. And I think that Disney sort of, it came out of necessity at a certain point in time. And now it's so fun to see that be something that makes your trip easier. It just does. It's easier to plan, it's easier to access the menus, all of that. The technology that you can use in your dining experience is not just to make reservations anymore. You can look at menus at any time. You can mobile order. You can look and see and say, I'm on my map. What's near me? What can I go eat at that's within walking distance? All of that stuff. The face of dining looks completely different.
Because when we started the podcast, I mean, again, I like to look back at things. I mean, that's just my thing. I like looking back at like old technology and how things change. That's just one of my hobbies. I just remember like how excited we were on the show that they were, and older people will remember this. They were debuting, or they had a test with Nintendo DSs in the parks. Like, so you could use maps, and they had kind of geolocation features within this Nintendo DS system because they had little transponders on top of buildings within the Magic Kingdom, and it would interact with that, kind of like in the Pal Mickey kind of system. And that was like super exciting, right? I mean, God, think about how like advanced we are now with My Disney Experience. Yeah, My Disney Experience doesn't work all the time, but I mean, there's so much you can do with it. I mean, positive and negative because we're on our phones a lot, but that great points there. So Ricky, what do you got? Give us something.
Well, I think that one of the biggest things is the fact that there's a whole brand new hotel that exists that we never even like thought about. You know, it was in a space. Obviously, I'm talking about the Riviera. It was in a space where it was, you know, Caribbean Beach. So it was all still Caribbean Beach land. And the fact of the matter is they built this gorgeous, beautiful, you know, hotel that's inspired by the French Riviera that has some of the best restaurants that Walt Disney, you know, speaking of what Pam was talking about it, upping their restaurant game. I mean, some of the best restaurants that Walt Disney World has. I mean, try to get a reservation for Topolino's. I mean, it's still so ridiculously hard to be able to do for honestly both breakfast and dinner. And you know, it's really amazing what they've been able to do in a space that was originally, you know, a part of Caribbean Beach, a building, you know, or was it a building or two for Caribbean Beach? And then they took it down and then they built just this gorgeous, really spectacular hotel. I mean, I never would have thought that was possible. You know, that wasn't even, you know, in the forefront of our minds back then. That, you know, and look at what they're doing now with, you know, love it or hate it, whether you love, you know, these DVC editions or not. You know, we have the Polynesian one that's coming, which, you know, it's coming along. I saw it this a couple weeks ago, and it's looking a little bit better, a little more Polynesian-y than it was originally. And it's, you know, so it's filling out a little bit better. And then, of course, if you believe the rumors, we have Reflection coming online here again. Now it looks like that one's coming back up. So, and what's interesting is that Disney has decided to build up, which they did not.
That was
do
actually,
before.
that's exactly what I wrote down. Mine was towers at hotels. Like 15 years ago, there was a philosophy that like Disney was like flat hotels. Like,
yes.
like four stories was the limit. And I remember with Coronado Springs, just piggybacking on yours, like I remember when I was running around there one morning and like they were starting to take down, you know, over by the cabanas.
Yeah.
Because they had that little business section that I love, that little, like you could get the business lounge, and it was the biggest, like it was the like secret where you get the free cookies and the breakfast and everything. God, I love that because you got it for like $20 more a night, and I'd eat my weight in gold in that little lounge. And they took it out and to build the tower. And I was so bitter that they were building that Grandestino Tower. I'm like, they're ruining Coronado. And then, you know, they build the tower there. Then, like you said, the Riviera goes up, and then you got Bay Lake Tower. You know, like all of a sudden Disney's building up. Philosophically, I was bitter 15 years ago. Like, Disney, you don't build up. You're like flat. Like, that's just your aesthetic. Couldn't be more wrong.
Couldn't be more wrong. No, they definitely have built up. And for the most part, it's been relatively successful. I feel like, it changes the landscape a little bit, of course, of the Walt Disney World Resort. But I feel like it's, for the most part, they've been very good changes. Disney's done a really good job with how they've created these new spaces. So I'm anxious to see, what they do with the Polynesian, the Island Tower, which is opening in December. And then we have, of course, if the rumors are true about Reflections, that one is really interesting to me because before the concept art was not that appealing. It did not look that great. And I'm hoping that maybe they've gone back to the drawing board with that literally and kind of rethought what they were going to do and make it more tailored to kind of that area of, between Wilderness Lodge and Fort Wilderness, and maybe make it a little bit more wildernessy. I don't know.
That is interesting because, you don't get, like, a lot of times, you don't get a second shot at things. But, truly with Reflections, if this is going to happen, they do, this is a second shot to, have heard everybody, what they said about the artist renderings and stuff and say, well, we got to hear a lot of feedback and we had it out there for a little bit. We can kind of take that into account and try to listen to
and
it.
Try again. Yeah.
Because, they really, they cleared the site, but they didn't really, start to build the structure. So we'll see. But yeah, it's one of those things like, I'm still, but then, here I am again, right? When I hear about Reflections, I don't know, like, because they're talking about a 10-story tower at Fort Wilderness. Like, dude, Fort Wilderness is tents and RVs. Like, I don't know the aesthetic over there. Like, I just don't think that works over there. Because but I said that, like, when I was at Coronado, I'm like, God, how are you going to put a tower at Coronado? And then, like, you walk in, like, when you drive into Coronado now and you see, like, the entrance, it looks like it was supposed to be there the whole time. Pam, get in on this. Because, like, I think now Coronado, when you pull into the entrance without the Grand Destino Tower, like, it looks like it should have been there the whole time now. Like, it just fits. And, like, those rooms are nice. The amenities are better. Barcelona Lounge, Toledo. Like, it has improved the resort by a magnification of 10. But I was bitter about it back in the day. I don't know.
I think what it was, and I think one of the big benefits of having this new strategy is that you're still able to sort of keep the smaller footprint of this huge expansive property that they have, while offering what they need is more rooms available. And when you think about it, I think that there was sort of a fear that it would impact, the line of sight, in sort of the way maybe that the Swan and Dolphin did from Epcot, that you can see that at different times. But it seems to be a very different situation from where they are, because you could always see the Polynesian from certain parts of the Magic Kingdom. You could always see the Grand Floridian from certain parts of the Magic Kingdom. And you could certainly always see the Contemporary, which, by the way, has 15 floors. So that was there. So I think that maybe there was sort of a value-based decision that was made that said we don't build up. But I think that they really took a second look at that, which I think all value-based decisions you have to re-examine every now and then, right? To make sure that they're still fitting within your values. And they saw that they had a need, they need these locations without wanting to have them so far from the parks. And this allows them to get more people closer to the parks than taking a location, for instance, like where Animal Kingdom Lodge is, which is further away from the parks. And probably one of the things that most people, when they say, I don't like the location, is because of the distance from the parks. Now they're able to offer guests more of an ability to be closer to the parks and still have the theming and everything else. And like you said, Mike, look at Coronado now. Like, that tower looks as if it has always been there, and it has added so much to that resort. It just really has. And I hope that the Polynesian does the same thing for the Polynesian Tower. I think that the fact that we'll have another pool, more pool space is needed there, another splash pad, all of that, I think, are things to think of.
No, I 100% agree with that. That it brings another level of amenities to, like, the moderates, to the Polynesian. It's going to have a lot more to offer But again, it was just at the time, it's one of those things, you know, like we said this years ago too, like when they added Jack Sparrow to Pirates of the Caribbean, they went into Haunted Mansion. This was back in like probably like 2011, 2012. They did a little refurb to the Haunted Mansion. We just kept saying, just trust Disney. And for the most part, these things always work out net positive. Like they're always come out and things work out. And they did. Now, not everything we've seen, we've always, you know, loved on the backside, but most things, yes. You know, like for example, we talked about this on Sunday night a little bit. If you showed somebody the Skyliner in 2008, 2009 and said, this is how you're going to get from Pop Century or Caribbean Beach or Art of Animation to the studios or Epcot, and you showed them the time, like you can be from Pop Century or Caribbean Beach to the studios in 5 minutes, 7 minutes, 10 minutes. And it's an enjoyable, like it's a ride. I mean, you sit there, there's a little air flowing through your thing. You're sitting there and talking. It's beautiful. It's almost a ride. Like the Skyliner is an attraction. It is such a plus for those, you know, and it's not at the deluxe resorts. It's the values and the moderates. And, you know, you got the Riviera as a deluxe, but I mean, it's so Disney. It's almost like Monorail 2.0. It's whimsical. It's
agreed.
I think it would have stunned people in 2008, 2009.
Even when we knew about what it would be, even when we were here in modern day, there was so much pushback about what it was going to be. They were, you know, remember how many people were like, it's going to be so hot. It will never work. It will, all these things. And those really haven't borne out to be true. It just hasn't been the case. It's even on the hottest of days when we've ridden it, I'm always so pleasantly surprised at the temperatures inside. So it's been such a great addition to the transportation options available at Walt Disney World. And I think that in itself is another great example of things that so many people would be just shocked to see. The transportation fleet that has become Disney. There are so many different options. I mean, think about it. The Skyliner, the boats, the buses, the monorails, the minivans. Think about a fleet of buses.
The fleet of buses.
They now have the stretchy buses, you know, like the bendy ones. I love when a good bendy bus pulls up, like when I'm at Pop.
Because you know you're going to be able to load everyone.
That's right, exactly. Everyone's getting on the bus.
Like, give me a bendy bus. That thing holds everybody. Let's all get on. Those things are so, I mean, I can't imagine driving one of those things. Like, there's no way you see the back of that sucker. It's like, you know, driving Slinky Dog, you know, the real Slinky Dog. Like, you don't see your tail. It's wild. No. Okay, real quick. I will give a second one, kind of a negative thing. And I just want to have this conversation real quick. It's the individual lightning lanes, the lightning lane single pass or whatever it's called today. Like, think about this. If you told somebody in 2008, when we started the show, March 2008, when we started our first podcast, that you're going to pay, say, $100 to get in the Magic Kingdom, and then you're going to pay, say, $18.
That would be a big thing right there. Is you're going to pay over $100.
Exactly. It wasn't that. But I mean, let's just say like 100 round number. You're going to pay X amount to get into the Magic Kingdom. Now, of course, Seven Dwarfs Mine Train didn't come around until 2014. But say it was there, and you're going to pay $18 to ride this. It's not. I mean, it's an e-ticket attraction, but I mean, it's not the craziest like attraction of all time either. It's like a, you know, it's an e-ticket, but it's not like, you know, the end all and be all of attractions either. It's cute. It's a great ride. Don't get me wrong. I love this ride, but you're going to pay an extra $18 to ride this attraction on top of that. Like if you'd have told me that in 2008, I'd have been like, you are crazy. Like I would have said, you are insane. So my question is, and people do this all the time now. You know what I'm saying? Like it is like just boom. And I think it's because of technology and it's so easy to just have your thumb go boop. And I think this is why Apple Pay, and I'm guilty of this all the time. When I can use Apple Pay on things like on Instagram, Instagram gets me all the time. This hat, Instagram. Dude, because it was like 11 o'clock at night. Dude, they show me the ad 37 times. And on the 38th time, I'm like, yes, I need that hat. I don't need that hat. My wife kills me because I have 38 Mizzou hats in my closet. Like, why did I buy 39? Because it was cool and it got me on the 39th ad on Instagram. It's terrible. I should not be on Instagram at night. But Apple Pay, stuff like technology, they know how to get us. Like, and I think, I don't know, like from 2008 to today, like I would never, and I still have only bought an individual Lightning Lane. The only one I've ever bought, ever, was Radiator Springs Racers at Disneyland, because I don't go there as often. And that ride is amazing. I don't care. That ride is so cool. I love that ride. But, and here I'm like guilty. Like, you know, I'm so guilty of this. I'm saying I'll never do it. Yet I did. But I mean, like in 2008, my mind could not comprehend individual lightning lanes. Did you pay to get into a park, yet you're going to pay to ride a ride that you have paid to get into that theme park for? Let's have that conversation. Like, how do you justify that to somebody in 2008? And it happens all the time now.
Yeah,
Time is money.
It
That's
is
how
time
you
is money,
justify
but I
it.
mean, in 2008,
Time.
like, how do you tell that to somebody? Like, they'd be like, "You're drunk."
I think though, if they would have offered it in 2008, if you had the ability to skip lines for certain attractions, would you pay it? I think that there would have been people in 2008 that did it. I think they just needed a system where technology caught up with their ability to offer something like that.
Maybe.
How many times did you say, even before there was Lightning Lane, I would pay to avoid this line?
I mean, William in the chat says he would do it. You know, he says time is money. And you're exactly right. But I don't know, man. I think it's conditioning over time. Like, I think we believe that now, but I think it takes time to say, maybe it's just like you got to get beat down by lines after a few years. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, like morale's gonna, you know, until morale, like what's that saying?
The meetings
Like,
will
the meetings will
continue
continue
until
until
morale
morale improves.
That's it. That's it.
It's kind of one of those situations, like, you know, we're just gonna keep whooping you with the lines until, you know, okay, $18, fine, let's go. You know, when you're a family person, it gets expensive quick. You know, if you're single, it's not such a big. I don't know. I just want to have that conversation because I just think that would be shocking to 2008 guests. Like, you know, $20 to ride this attraction. I've already paid $100 to get into the park.
It's still shocking to me now. I mean, granted, I have never personally paid for a lightning lane. And I don't necessarily see me doing it, although maybe a new attraction, like right after it opens, like maybe one of the villains attractions or, you know, something like that. You might be able to get me just once on a brand new attraction if I can. But for the most part, like, I'm of the mindset of I can ride it at another point. And I know that I'm lucky because I do get to go down very often. And, you know, I have an annual pass and I'm down there every other month or so, you know. So for me, it's not as, you know, pertinent to get the lightning lane because I'm, you know, I'll ride it next time, you know. Now, if it was Disneyland, I still don't know that I'd do it. It depends. Honestly, it would depend on how long the line was for Radiator
and
Springs.
It was like I had a half a day, you know, like it was my day. I had my flight at noon and I went into the park and I had to be out by noon because I had to get to LAX. And I'm like, dude, I want to ride. I love this ride. I'm like, I'm not going to be back for a year. Like, it was $18. I'm like, dude, I'm $18. I'm here. I want to ride this ride. Dude, boom. I think you hit the nail on the head, though. It's a lot easier when you're single. I was single
and by yourself.
I was at the race.
And, you know, I think for my family, if I was doing it for all of us, it would not be something that I would look into.
You killed me to do it.
No, it's good. I'll wait in line. It's fine.
I hated to push that button, but I didn't regret it because I love the ride. Like, and us smiling in the picture, and like the whole time I was riding the ride, it plays the music. You're going past that waterfall, and it's like you're going through, you're getting your tires and everything. I'm like, this is the greatest ride ever. Like I got $18 worth of enjoyment. I got the little picture. You know, like I had fun. I had a blast, but it's like, philosophically, man, I'm the guy who goes to Texas Roadhouse before 6 o'clock to save $2 on my chicken tenders. Like, it killed me. Like, I'm cheap.
But I mean, if I was doing it for my whole family, it would be a little bit harder to maybe pull that trigger than if it's just me as well. So again, that's why I've never bought Lightning Lane for, you know, our family, for Brian, you know, and me when I'm down there, because I can't pull the trigger on it. I'll go another time. I'll write it another time.
But I mean, and it's great to have options, right? And I have no ill will for how people spend their money. You know, I spend my money on Mizzou hats. You know, like people probably, it's dumb that you have 39 Mizzou hats. It is. It's insane. It's ridiculous. It's stupid. You only have one head. How many hats can you wear at once? One. So I spend my money in a stupid way there. So everybody.
How many Disney dresses do you need, Ricky? I don't know, but I keep buying them. So
everybody spends their money their own way. I have no ill will for people spending individual lightning lanes. If you want to buy them, that's still up to you. We all spend our money the wrong. You know, like we all have our stupid things we spend them on. Like I said, dude, dumb Mizzou hats everywhere. So Pam,
And
give us another one. Go ahead, continue.
So I like, for me, if I'm there with my family and there's an attraction we want to ride and I can do it with Lightning Lane, I don't even think twice about it, because I just feel like my vacation time is so precious in that space that I want to get as much out of the day as I can. So I gladly do it when it is something that I really want to experience. So
it is, but I mean, it's good to have options, right? If you want to buy, because I mean, like it saved me in a pinch. Like I was like, man, I'm here at Disneyland. I got to go home in 3 hours. Like if I don't ride this ride right now, I'm going to like be on the plane. Like I should have spent that $18. Like why? Like you just, who knows? I mean, you may not ever get, I mean, God willing, I get back, like, but I mean, like this is your favorite ride. Like this is your favorite land of any land. Like, you'll make another $18 when you get home.
Well, yeah.
Like ride the ride, and I did, and I had a good time. So that's my thing. Okay, real quick, we have about 10 minutes left. Pam, give us one more thing.
All right. So I'm going to say one of the things I think that has really changed in the landscape is the resorts and the amenities that they have to offer. First of all, we're going to go way back in time here and think about this, but the value resorts used to have double beds. They had no coffee maker, no refrigerator, nothing like that. Think about the plugs that used to be in each room, right? It was embarrassing, really, to a certain extent, especially when you look at all the electronics that we're bringing right now. And we've talked about this, how important it really is. The moderates did not have all of these things in the rooms either. They would have a coffee maker, and the beds were smaller. Again, they were double beds there at different points in time. Sometimes it depended on what was happening. But think about the resort amenities now, the value you get for your money when you're staying on site. First of all, you have things available to you like the 30 minutes in the morning, the head start on everything. That's included in everyone. As they redo the resorts and redo those rooms, the extra plugs and whatnot. But it's more than that. There are resort activities going on at your resort from morning until late afternoon into the evenings at each one of the resorts, whether you're staying at a value resort or a deluxe resort. And I think that that's really, again, to meet guest demands, the things that they want and expect from that. They want that Disney experience, whether they're in the parks or not in the parks. And Disney has delivered in that space. I appreciate that. The movies under the stars, the s'mores and marshmallows and whatnot. That's always something that you can find at the different resorts. But just the amenities that they've given us in the resort rooms too. I think all of these things have really sort of changed the way that our Disney resort experience is. And it makes it a huge benefit to stay on site at these resorts.
Right. They make it a place where, you can have a day or two, a night or two, and that's your entertainment. Stay at Pop Century, make a tie-dye t-shirt, do a movie under the stars at Riverside, like I said, Coronado Springs. We talked about this on Wednesday. Do the tile mosaic thing, the activity. It's, there's a lot there to do. Dining,
there's
like you said.
A ton to do.
And the rooms are just so much better now. You're right. I mean, it used to be like, again, think about this. In 2008, we started this thing. I was part of a fridge swap group.
Right.
Do you remember that? Like I was on a message board where we had like this fridge that's in my studio here. Yeah. It was on those college dorm fridges that like you would go on this message board. And so we had it for our week we were there, and it came in like a box with like all kinds of like cups and forks and spoons and snacks. And like we had it for the week. And then like when we were done, we left like our leftover Pop-Tarts. We threw everything we had left over in with the box. And then you had somebody, you had to like, you took it down to Bell Services and you gave it to, like it stayed at Pop Century, but like the next family got it. And this thing has kept going for years, I think. It was crazy. It was called the fridge swap.
It was. Yes. And remember those horrible bedspreads that were at the value resort?
Dude, those were the bomb. I love those things. Oh my God. I
they
love
were scratchy
those.
and horrible.
No,
and like immediately we'd walk into the room and I'm like, take that.
I loved them. They were so cool. They had like 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s on them. Those were the bomb. Oh, I want one of those so bad. Please, for Christmas. That's my, hey, holidays are coming up for the show.
Look on eBay. I'm sure somebody will be able to fix it for you.
It's probably never been washed. Okay, we'll close this out, Ricky. What you got?
So I think that one of the biggest things is really the changes of the parks. When you really look at things, you have a whole lands that didn't exist. If you would have said, first of all, that movie, that Avatar, that everybody can't stop seeing because it's in 3D, and that's the only the reason that people see it. There's going to be a theme park land built completely around that movie at Disney's Animal Kingdom. Now it's going to take forever for it to be built, but there's going to be a whole entire land built around that movie. There's going to be a whole entire land built around Star Wars, and you're going to have these two amazing attractions that are going to be based off of those that franchise. And there's going to be more Star Wars movies, to be perfectly honest, which we didn't know about at the time. There's going to be an attraction based off of this Marvel movie that comics book that nobody's heard of, Guardians of the Galaxy. You're going to have just one of the most incredible attractions, in Walt Disney World built around that. You're going to have an attraction in France. A whole new section of France, first of all, is going to be there that you didn't know would ever exist. And it's going to be themed after Ratatouille, that movie that came out recently with, that rat. That's going to be new in the park. You're going to have to say goodbye to the Great Movie Ride. And you're going to have a new attraction based off of Mickey and Minnie and these weird cartoons that they're doing now with Mickey and Minnie and Goofy that looks like he should be on drugs, but I'm just saying, these are all huge changes that I never would have thought were possible when back in the late early 2000s, when we're talking about 15 years ago or so. These are all things that are just so incredible that actually got built. And some took longer than others, but I think that overall, for the most part, despite how long some of them took, they are all just glorious, grand new additions for Walt Disney World overall.
I just remember the first time I saw the Millennium Falcon and Galaxy's Edge. I was like, oh man, because that was my dream come true as a kid, to see the Millennium Falcon, and that it was full scale.
I know.
I seriously almost cried.
It was amazing.
I know.
Cried. That's how I felt too. I just to see these stories that were just a part of our lives for so long be there, and you can walk into them. I often feel that way whenever they open up a new land in one of the parks. And I think, gosh, just how we felt when we walked into Galaxy's Edge is how so many little kids are going to feel when they walk into even the Moana water thing or any of those. I love that. I love that the stories live on in that way. It's really magical. Because
the thing is, it's, when you watch the movies as a kid, right, you always, we grew up in the 70s and 80s, and you picture yourself, what would it be like to walk up to the Millennium Falcon, right? In The Empire Strikes Back, when they're on that, they're in the belly of that beast on, that asteroid for a little bit, and they're kind of walking around out there under the Millennium Falcon, and you got to, all of a sudden now you turn the corner and you get to pilot it. But before that, even you get to walk up under it. You're inspecting it. You're walking up, it's just, it was unbelievable. And you're walking through the land and you're, spaceships flying over your head. It was oh my gosh, I'm here. It's it's unbelievable. Disney builds those lands. That's why we pay the big money to go. It's pretty cool. But yeah, so if you have comments, come to the clubhouse, beourguestpodcast.com/clubhouse. Go to the thread, the channel that says current BOGP discussion. Let's talk about this. And then Sunday night, let's keep it going. Give us a call, 7:00 Eastern, 6:00 Central on all the locations. And we'll talk about it. That's why we have the open lines. We'll have some fun over there. Don't forget, our show is always brought to you by the Magic for Less Travel. We'd love to help you plan your next Disney adventure, because adventure is out there. Walt Disney World, Disneyland, Disney Cruise Line, Adventures by Disney as well. No additional cost to you. Concierge level service each and every time. Check out all the details today over at themagicforless.com. Please also use our Amazon affiliate links over at beourguestpodcast.com/Amazon. Every time you shop online, that really does help us out. And thank you to our Patreon supporters. You guys make all these shows possible, so thank you so very much to each and every one of you. If you'd like to support us, it's just $5 a month. And for that support, you get a bonus show every week called Mike in the Midwest. Coming over this weekend, we'd love to have you. Patreon.com/Be Our Guest Podcast. Give us a follow on the social media. Ricky's at Ricky Nibs. Pam is at TMFLT Pam. I'm at Be Our Guest Mike, Instagram, Twitter, and Threads. And of course, we want to see you in the clubhouse. BeOurGuestPodcast.com/clubhouse. All right, time to get out here and let you get on with your weekend. And we hope you have a great one. Get out there and get that candy apple however you like it. Just remember, those things are sticky. Eat it. Don't wear it.
Oh my gosh, yes.
That's my advice.
Yes.
All right. So until we see you again, for Ricky and Pam, I'm Mike saying stay safe, stay healthy, and we'll see you real soon.
You've been listening to the Be Our Guest Walt Disney World Trip Planning Podcast. If you have questions, comments, or would like to be a guest on the show, please visit our website at beourguestpodcast.com. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you real soon.